In the building. Grace and peace to each and every one of you guys. Right now, I'm in a very serene environment in the land, and I'm harvesting some what is known as turmeric. In my country, it's also known as saffron. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit more in detail about Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker. Just break down a couple of things, and maybe talk about some other stuff, recapping some of the boxing of the year. So feel free to comment and excuse me, I have a little cough. Comment, subscribe, and donate to my channel. You can donate to my channel via PayPal. You can go to any one of my videos, and the link will be either in the comment section or in the description of the video. And you can donate to my channel that way because YouTube does not pay me to do this. It comes strictly from you. All right, so let's get into it. With Deontay Wilder versus Joseph Parker, I put up a profile picture so you guys could see what really transpired there. So I'm going to break it down very simply for you guys. The first thing is Joseph Parker understood range. He understood where he needed to be at any point in time. He was either on the outside, just outside of Wilder's reach, or he was in the pocket pressing the action to Wilder, because Wilder, while he can throw short punches, which also have power, he's tall. And so Joseph Parker understood that he needed to move his head, which means slipping punches, and he also needed to get under Wilder's punches. So when Wilder would throw a left hook or he would throw the right hand, Joseph Parker was underneath those shots. Now, people say that Wilder was gun shy. It wasn't that he was gun shy. It was that he didn't have the opportunities to really throw those shots. As much as Malik is saying that, he was gun shy and the shot was there and he just didn't pull the trigger, which I appreciate what he's saying. The truth is, Joseph Parker wasn't there to get hit. It was hit or not get hit, meaning Joseph Parker would use he was defensively responsible. When he was coming in on the inside, he was always countering Wilder's jab. He was slipping to the inside of the jab or to the outside of the jab and then countering either over it, or he was also countering with his own jab, slipping Wilder's jab and going to his body. Andy Ruiz would have a field day with Wilder. He would have fun because Andy Ruiz knows how to stay low, understands range, knows how to close the distance. And Joseph Parker had all those things in his arsenal in this fight. He showed he could close the distance on Wilder. He showed that he could close the distance without getting touched. And he therefore was a lot more aggressive. Wilder's jab was quite ineffective, which is why he stopped using it. He was trying to figure out how to throw the jab, but every time he threw the jab, that's when Joseph Parker was able to close range, get in there, and do the work on Wilder, work his body, and go up top. And so that's what you would see most of the fight. Wilder tried to pick up the intensity, it didn't work. And in fact, when he tried to pick up the intensity, he got hit a lot. He got hurt pretty bad by Joseph Parker. So Wilder tried to keep the fight long. He did. But Joseph Parker was too quick. He was quick enough to close the distance and be defensively responsible. As you can see, if you go and just take snapshots of the fight, you will see that Joseph Parker was slipping Wilder's jab. He was slipping this way and that way. He was slipping both ways, to the inside of the jab and to the outside of the jab. And if he slipped to the inside of the jab and Wilder threw his right hand, he would dip under. So he'd come with an overhand right. He'd come with an overhand right over Wilder's jab while he's dipping under the shot. So he'd throw like a Mexican. He'd dip his head low and throw the overhand right. And Wilder, he tried to throw the uppercut to sweep him, to catch him with that, the right uppercut. But it didn't work because Joseph Parker was not only doing that, his footwork was such that as he dipped, he also rolled. He rolled in. And when you're dipping and rolling, not just dipping, but you're dipping and rolling, it's basically, I'm rolling in, my shot's coming over the top, and I'm rolling out. It's a defensive maneuver, which is not easy to time. That's the other thing. Joseph Parker wasn't the easiest guy to time. Wilder couldn't really get Joseph Parker's timing for most of the fight. Some people say that's ring rust, and he wasn't fighting a lot of guys in real fights. So maybe that's one of the reasons, which we can go with that. But the real truth is, when you couple range, where the guy is fighting at a range that you are not comfortable fighting in, and you couple that in with the quickness of the fighter, it's really hard to get the timing because you're not hitting anything. And you got to remember, you have to start off everything, well, at least with Wilder, you have to lead everything off with a jab. He didn't try leading off with his right hand, and he was looking for that punch, and it never came. The entire fight, he was looking for that shot instead of working his way into it. But the problem with that is, like I said to you guys, when he tried to work his way into it, he got countered. And he got countered hard. Joseph Parker basically disciplined him. And so when Malik Scott says that Joseph Parker fought a hell of a fight and a hell of a game plan, they had a hell of a game plan for Deontay Wilder, it's absolutely, incontrovertibly true. Okay? Was Wilder half a step behind in this fight? Yeah, he was about half a step behind in terms of sharpness. He wasn't, but he couldn't be. Joseph Parker made sure to take that away from him. So if you got to give anybody credit, as Malik Scott said, Joseph Parker studied Wilder, and they formed a game plan to beat him, specifically for him. And it worked. When he tried to throw the left hook, Joseph Parker wasn't there. He was under the shot. He was rolling away to the side. That's another thing Joseph Parker did. When walking down a fighter, you don't just walk directly in front of fighter. Okay, if you're out of range, sure, fine. But once you get into range, you have to slip punches. You have to roll in and roll out. And that's what Joseph Parker was doing. He was very aggressive with it as well. And that pushed Wilder back. Instead of letting Wilder dictate the pace by himself being the aggressor and Joseph Parker reacting to him, instead, Joseph Parker was the aggressor throughout the fight, and Wilder had to react to him. So Joseph Parker was initiating everything. He was first. And because of all these things, even though his reach wasn't as long as Wilder's, he was able to take the fight to Wilder and beat him. That's why. So it was range. He understood his range and where he would be effective. 2, it was that he knew the defensive maneuvers to avoid getting hit, slipping, rolling in, rolling out, staying just outside of range of Wilder. And so once you slip and you come in and you throw that long, he also threw some nice jabs to the body. He was getting those jabs to the body well. And again, Wilder being so tall, he could get under Wilder's shots much more easily than, say, a shorter fighter. But I've seen Joseph Parker do, adjust his game plans to different fighters. I remember Andy Ruiz, how he adjusted the game plan to keep himself long against Andy Ruiz. So Andy Ruiz had to come to him. So by and large, Joseph Parker fought a hell of a fight, and that is why he won, okay? And Wilder looked gun-shy because he couldn't really do much, right? Joseph Parker had a game plan, and Wilder was not able to make an adjustment to that game plan. He was trying different things. He tried, first of all, to fight off the back foot to keep that range, keep that distance, right? But every time he threw that jab, Joseph Parker had an answer for him. So maybe he could have let off his right hand if he knew how to do that. Maybe he could have gone southpaw for a minute and then switch back and then come with a shot. Maybe he could have hop skipped in like he did against, I forgot what the guy's name is. But again, Joseph Parker is not a flat-footed fighter. That's the difference. Wilder's been fighting more flat-footed fighters. But once he fights a guy that can move in that ring, knows where he is, he has difficulty. Because he's counting on his fleet of foot to get positioning. Whereas with Joseph Parker, he has fleet of foot himself, and he's quick and he's explosive. So because of that, Joseph Parker had an edge on him coming into the jump. And he knew how to use that edge on him. And so that's why Joseph Parker won that fight. He didn't knock out Wilder. I don't think he even dropped him, but he hurt him pretty bad. And the referee was looking to stop it, but Wilder would fight back. And Wilder has a heart of a champion. He can box, like I said to people, he can box. But strategically speaking, that style matchup and what Joseph Parker prepared for him made him look bad in that fight. Made him look like he wasn't giving effort. He was trying to give effort. He was trying to throw punches. But he would have to take a hell of a lot of punishment to dish out what he wanted to do and stay. If he was going to stick with the jab, he would stick with the jab throughout the fight. He was going to take a lot of punishment. All right. So that's what I got for you guys. Now, with respect to, I was supposed to talk about Devin Haney, pound for pound. this year. We had a lot of. Oh, I think I did talk a little bit about it. So let me just go into it a little bit. Um, Naoya Nui is just time and time again showing his class. It's a matter of time before this guy is at the top of boxing because this guy is treating really good, credible fighters. I mean, you make one mistake against Naoya Nui, and he's going in for the kill. You know, he's not trying to drag a fight on. He's not trying to get extra minutes. You know what I mean? And the opponent that he faced, the Filipino fighter, he's good. He's credible. He was doing well in the fight. It's just that once he started to get comfortable, too comfortable, he started to lower his defense, and that's where he got caught with that left hook. And they were both ripping shots. KP from KC, Inui is great. Yeah, man. Shoot, this dude is something else. Now, is he pound for pound #1 this year? That's interesting. His body of work is good. Don't get me wrong. He been fighting solid fighters, except that Superfly. Superfly. I mean, he did fight the so-called best, the lineal champion of Superfly, but he still didn't face, Chocolatito and Estrada and them guys. I would have liked to see how that would have panned out. But suffice it to say, as of late, he been fighting some really good guys. Stephen Fulton's my boy. Everybody know that. Scooter. And I mean, he demolished Scooter. You know what I'm saying? And Scooter's a hell of a fighter. You know what I mean? People duck Scooter. KB from Casey says at 122, he looks more skilled than Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera. Oh, he's way more skilled. Way more skilled than Eric Morales. I mean, dude looked like Floyd in there with power. You know what I mean? And he's sharp. He's super sharp. He still throws everything, I find, at one speed. Like, he need to vary up his punches and show nuance and stuff like that. But in terms of sharpness, quickness, in terms of accuracy, in terms of this dude has patience, to see the openings, he's more offensively minded. Like, he's not as defensively minded. You know what I mean? And I've got to say, that Filipino boxer, he was doing the right things. He was going to his body, but he just got warmed up, and he was falling in. But even though he was falling in, he was dipping under, right? He was dipping under the shots, so he knew he couldn't really catch him like that. But the thing that he did, he started to drop his guard and just really engage. And he's not as quick as Inui, and that's what kind of did him in. But he was solid. The Filipino boxer was solid. You know what I'm saying? And Southpaw, solid fighter. Solid fighter. Just a hair step, in terms of, you can't be making those kinds of mistakes. You can't be making those kinds of mistakes. He was doing very well until that point. KP from KC says, at 122, he looks more skilled than Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Shout out to everybody that's coming through here. I don't want to take too long with your guys. I don't want to take too much of your day. I got like 2 more minutes. I got to go back to work. Let me just show you guys a little bit of what I do. All right. So right now, what you're looking at there is I'm wetting some plants. These are called ground provision. They're called dasheen. Right, and you also got this stuff here that I'm harvesting, and that stuff you guys know as turmeric is also known as saffron. I'm just washing them out to go to the market and sell them. So yeah, so blessings to everybody out there. But he knew he's a bad boy. It's a matter of time. Now he just don't have those superstar names. You know what I mean? Devin Haney fought Lomachenko. Terrence Crawford fought. Errol Spence, Tank fought Leo Santa Cruz. He don't got those guys with a big, extensive resumes on them. They're not. It doesn't mean they're not good fighters. You know what I'm saying? And we don't know what will happen. Some of those guys might go on to go into the Boxing Hall of Fame later on. So we have to watch and see. But he don't really have those guys. He does have Nav. What's the guy's name? I forgot what his name is. I think he was a flyweight or light flyweight or something like that. I think it's super flyweight. The guy that was super flyweight, long reigning champion. He was an old guy, and he dusted that dude like he wasn't supposed to be in the ring with him. You know what I'm saying? But he knew he is something. He is something. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Dmitry Bivol, another phenom. And hopefully he gets that fight with Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev is kind of getting old. Tyson Fury's supposed to face Alexander Usyk. Usyk's another one. These are real dogs. These dudes want the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Bevo want the smoke. You know, Usyk wants the smoke. You know what I'm saying? Haney wants the smoke. You know, Inouye wants the smoke. You know, these are guys that want the smoke. Like, they're not playing around. You know what I mean? Terrence Crawford wanted the smoke too. So you talk about those kinds of names. You know, Canelo Alvarez don't necessarily want the smoke. He looking for, you know, big fights, yeah, but he don't necessarily want the smoke. And so, you know, he might be lower down the pound for pound rankings in my pound for pound rankings because of that. He's been fighting quality fighters though. But like, you know, he don't look like he want the smoke. You know what I mean? He's like trying to wait for David Benavidez to get better and better. Before he fights him. But I think he might fight David Benavidez next year. He might. He might. Again, if he fights David Benavidez, I got Canelo. I don't got David Benavidez. But then you never know. David Benavidez could show us something. But I don't really think that David Benavidez, maybe it's just me, I don't know. I haven't really studied it. But I don't think David Benavidez could beat Canelo. I just don't think so. That's just my opinion. He did beat Demetrius Andrade, though, who's a problem, usually. For any fighter. So who knows? Who knows? Maybe David Benavidez will prove me wrong. But until then, I don't believe it. So anyway, we're in 16 minutes, 34 seconds in. I'm what you need. In terms of pound for pound, who's the best fighter this year? Who did the most exciting stuff? We had a lot of stuff this year. We had a lot of great fights. We had a lot of upsets. So that's to say, who exactly is the best fighter this year? That's up to you guys. But I'm going to give you some candidates for best fighter of the year, okay? First one, I'm going to say always, I'm going to rock with this dude. Devin Haney beating Vasily Lomachenko early this year and then beating Regis Prograis in the latter half. You also got this year candidate Terrence Crawford beating Errol Spence this year. That's the only fight he could have done because he's in a contractual agreement for a rematch with Errol Spence. We look forward to seeing what will happen there. We also got this year Alexander Usyk beating Anthony Joshua twice this year. Was trying to get the Tyson Fury fight. All right. Another candidate you got to talk about, Dimitri Bivol, right? Dimitri Bivol, I believe he beat Gilberto Ramirez and then went on to beat this other dude. I forgot what his name is, Arthur something, right? You got to talk about Beterbiev. Beterbiev knocked out two guys this year. He knocked out Anthony Yard, and he just had a fight with Joe. Help me out here, y'all. Joe, what is his name? I forgot what his name is. Joe Smith Jr. He knocked out them two guys. Joe Smith Jr., former world champion. Anthony Yard, top contender. You know, and that was a hell of a fight, by the way, with Anthony Yard. Anthony Yard again pushed him to the brink. So you got that candidate. You also got, of course, David Benavidez, right? David Benavidez beat Caleb Plant this year. Then went on to beat the highly avoided Demetrius Andrade this year. Okay? And he stopped Demetrius Andrade, but he went the distance with Caleb Plant, but he did beat up Caleb Plant. But Caleb Plant didn't even drop Caleb Plant, right? Then you got, we already talked about Inouye. Inouye's another guy. Sparked out Stephen Fulton and then knocked out this other unified world champion who had beaten MJ, right, to get the titles. Then you got, and not to mention, this dude is also two-divisional undisputed champion like Terrence Crawford. You got to remember the status. You got to look at the status of these dudes and what they did this year and what the impact of that was, right? The type of fighter they were facing and so on. So, you know, you got a couple of guys, man. You know, you also have Tank. Now, Tank was very spectacular, very entertaining. His quality of opposition wasn't as tight, wasn't as good as, say, the quality of opposition that these other guys I just spoke about were. But he did beat Ryan Garcia, which was a tremendously big money-making fight. You know, that fight made serious money and, you know, serious gate. So you cannot ignore Gervonta Tank Davis. You got to include him in Fighter of the Year, whether you like it or not. Now, I think that's the only fight he had this year, but it really grossed in a lot of money. Kind of like Canelo. Canelo fought, who did he fight this year? Canelo fought Jermell Charlo this year. Another big money making fight, right? And Mel, dared to be great, jumped up 2 weight classes. I don't know what's going on with Mel, legally speaking, but in terms of Mel as a fighter, he's the dude you want. You want a guy that will say, I'm going to take these risks. I'm going to take these chances. I want to be great. And he did that. Now, he didn't, in a fight, after feeling Canelo's power, he didn't really perform as he could have, right? We all know this. But I think he was gun shy because of the power of Canelo. It was just a whole other level of power. Canelo didn't drop him, but that's because he wasn't trying to get touched by Canelo. Nonetheless, he took the chance. And so you have to give him props for that. It was his only fight this year, though. And even though he came up short, you have to give him his props. Now, is he fighter of the year? Probably not, but I'm still mentioning him. Then you got the guys who created the upsets. And you got to include them in fighter of the year. We got Joseph Parker, who upset Deontay Wilder, right? We got Daniel Dubois, right? Coming off of a loss, upsetting Jarrell Miller, because Jarrell Miller was undefeated, right? And I thought, even Daniel Dubois' game, I thought Jarrell Miller would have been able to do something with Daniel Dubois. Nope, Daniel Dubois one-sided beating. One-sided beating. But if you do remember, Daniel Dubois fought Alexander Usyk, so his game got raised, and he was able to touch Usyk to the extent of which Usyk complained of a low blow that wasn't a low blow. Right? He actually hurt Usyk in that fight, and that's amazing. So Daniel Dubois, mad props to him. He did lose. He faded later on in the fight, and he lost. Usyk stopped him, but you gotta get Daniel Dubois mad props. He lost to Joe Joyce. All right, came back from that loss, faced Usyk, gave him a run for his money. Unlike only one guy gave him a run for his money like that. It was Derek Chisora. He ran out of gas. Then he comes back and he fights Jarrell Miller and shows there's levels to the sport of boxing and dominates him and stops him in the 12th round. You got to give the man props, man. You got to give the man props. So shout out to Daniel Dubois. I always just look at him like, man, he an android or something. You know what I mean? He don't seem to have no personality, but he do have personality, and he's starting to show it. And he can fight. The guy can fight. He's not just a puncher. He's not just a knockout artist. He showed in the fight against Usyk he could get the right hand in there. He could thread the needle. He showed in the in the Jarrell Miller fight. Not only could he thread the needle, but he got some technique, he got some skill, he got some defense. So you got to shout out to Daniel Dubois on that. I'm not saying he's fighter of the year, but I just want to mention him. The other guy I'm going to mention, y'all going to say that's controversial, but I got to mention him anyway. Rolly Romero. I'm going to tell y'all why. I know he talks a lot of mad junk, but dude became world champion this year. Beat the Venezuelan guy who could really punch. And shout out to the Venezuelan guy, too, for making it a hell of a fight. Some people say that the Venezuelan guy, if he was allowed to continue to fight, would have stopped Rolly or just give him a chance to go out on his shield. I don't know about that. Rolly hits hard. He really does. He hits hard. And I don't know. You don't want the old guy to get hurt like really, really bad. You know what I'm saying? But having said that, Rolly started boxing very, very late, y'all. Very, very late. And for Rolly to grow in boxing so rapidly, Deontay Wilder's another fighter. He started boxing very, very late, right? Well, they say the heavyweights, you can get away with it a little bit more because it's, it's a division where, technique's not as much as power. But when you look at like Rolly, went up to 140. And grabbed the title there. A vacant title, but nonetheless, he grabbed the title there. That's tremendous. Like, he really is a bona fide world champion right now. Say what you want about him. And I think he was going to stop the guy. He was crashing him. He was going to stop him. I mean, y'all coming down hard on Rolly. Yeah, the ref prematurely stopped it, but he was going to crash the old guy. The old guy was fading. You got to give Rolly his props, man. Y'all got to give Rolly his props. In terms of his accomplishments, you don't like his personality or you don't like the trash talking he talks, that's okay. But you got to give him his props for becoming world champion. And you could say what you want. You could say he's the weakest world champion. You could say what they want. The facts are he's a world champion. And no, the judges didn't give him that fight. The ref stopped the fight. It was a knockout. Okay, and no, the ref didn't give him the fight either. He earned that. Yes, he would have wanted to knock the guy out, but I don't think that would have ended nicely because Raleigh can punch, and if he clipped that guy, we don't know what would have happened. All right, so he didn't clip him flush all the way through. So the guy lives to see another day, and hopefully he gets another championship shot. That Venezuelan guy, cause he a hell of a fighter, and he needs another championship shot. He put on a hell of a performance. And I hope he gets another championship shot at the title against somebody. He deserves it. With respect to other again candidates for fighter of the year, we got so many. We got Jack Catterall. Jack Catterall is the dude that should have been undisputed right now, right? At 140, right? He outboxed, Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor did come on strong later. But he still didn't really do nothing to Jack Catterall. Kept his defense. He didn't use as much offense. He's picking him apart, picking the shots. Probably should have been a little bit more aggressive. Probably should have stamped it down and said, I beat the champion. Nonetheless, he outboxed him, okay? Jack Catterall came back and beat Jorge Linares, former world champion, fighting at 135, 140. And outclassed him, dropped him, hurt him multiple times. I think Jorge made it to the finish line, but Jack Catterall, you got to talk about that dude. He ain't the superstar, but you got to talk about him. Think about this. He fought the best, this year he fought the best fighter in the world, which was it this year? Probably was last year. Anyway, the best fighter of in the world. And it turned back around. And, I mean, he outclassed like he stumped on Jorge Linares. It's separation. And that's what you're looking for in fights. Sometimes fights are very competitive and there's no separation. And that's all good too. You know what I'm saying? What I could say is with Haney versus Lomachenko was a live dog all the way to the end. I mean, he ran out a little bit of gas coming down to the 12th round, but he was a live dog. Shout out to Lomachenko. Plenty heart for Lomachenko as well. Shout out to Lomachenko. He need to also be mentioned, not as fighter of the year, but still, put up a great fight against Devin Haney. Better fight that he put up against Jermaine Ortiz, who might be the guy that's facing Teofimo Lopez next, right? So, having said all of that, I hope you guys have a good one. Let me just show you guys a little bit of the ambience out in the back here. It's really nice. You can hear the birds singing and stuff like that. And that's one of my neighbor's houses right there, right? So this is a long strip of land. Let me see. Can I invert this? No. I'm gonna show y'all a little bit of the stuff. It's a long strip of land. It goes all the way out to. I'm gonna just show y'all a little bit up here. So like this is a young breadfruit tree. Now you guys can't see that. The light's messing up everything. Let me try to turn this way. Maybe you can see it. This is a breadfruit tree. That's called a black sage tree. We got a lot of pigeon peas trees here. This is a pigeon peas tree. That, of course, is a papaya, or what you guys call, or what we call pawpaw here. We got it's a banana tree, but we know it as a plantain tree. It gets to be a massive tree. You know what I'm saying? It's a soursop tree. And on my right here, you guys can't really see it because the sun's just screwing up the details. But these plants here are cassava plants. Yeah. So let me show you something now. Again, you mightn't be able to see this because of the lighting, but this place goes all the way out into the field there. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, man, people, and this tree here is a pomerac tree. Pomerac. I don't know if you guys know about that. This tree is a sapodilla tree, and it's got sapodillas on it. If you look, those are sapodillas. I don't know if you can see them. I'm trying to bring the camera as close up to it as possible so you guys can see it. Yeah. We got also something called fat pork, something called downs. We have an almond tree here. This is an almond tree. This is West Indian almonds. And if you look on the ground, you'll see some almonds. So yeah, what you need here, I'm gonna catch you guys later. I also have a coconut tree right there. There's a coconut there, 2 coconuts on the ground. So I'm gonna catch you guys later. I'm in the West Indies, beautiful West Indies, tropical weather, chilling, doing my thing. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Y'all have a good one, all right? Peace.